Hello friends, welcome to another recipe video by Chef Dino at dinovalbone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing to my channel and liking my videos. I appreciate your comments. Today we're going to make a dish called Dolma. This is a dish, this is my mom's recipe. This is how she used to make it. I've given it a little bit of my own twist to it to just improve on it. Well, basically what dolma is, it's a Middle Eastern / Mediterranean Greek food. It comes in a couple of different forms. You can make dolma with cabbage leaves. You can make dolma, which is what most people have had an experience with, is with grape leaves, and that's the stuffed grape leaves that you get in your Greek Mediterranean restaurant. Today we're doing the stuffed cabbage, and I'm going to go over the ingredients right now. I've already prepared some of them to just make the video shorter. Nobody likes to sit here and watch me chop herbs, so I already did that. So we're going to start by what we're going to use as ingredients, okay? So of course we have ground beef. I like to use 15% fat ground beef because it has more flavor. Now if you're more fat conscious, you can use whatever grade you want. It's just the more fat there is, the better the flavor is. We're going to need, I have about 2 pounds of it here. So I like to make a lot of this dish because it freezes really well. It takes a little bit of time to put this together, so when I do make this dish, I make a bunch of it and we freeze it and we defrost and eat it as we like. Actually, when it sits overnight or it freezes, the flavors blend in better. It's much more delicious. So this is 2 pounds. You can cut this in half. You can cut all the ingredients in half. 2 pounds of ground beef. I have 2 heads of cabbage. We're gonna steam this cabbage and we're gonna separate the leaves. I'm gonna show you in a bit how I do that. We have tomato paste, 2 cans of it. One of the cans is gonna go in our stuffing. The other one is I'll show you what I do with the other one a little bit later on. We have some dried dill wheat. If you have fresh, you can use that. We have garlic powder. 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper. We have dried pitted prunes. This is my twist to this dish. We have whole prunes and I have shredded prunes. Now, this is what I do different than what my mom used to do, and it just gives this thing a whole another dimension in flavor. So what I've done is I've gone and shredded this into smaller pieces, and I'm going to show you how and where we use the whole and the shredded prunes. I have rice. This is basmati rice. I have 1.5 cups. I've already washed it, and it's ready to go. Now, in my bowl here, which I'm gonna mix all the ingredients, I have 3 different herbs. We have parsley, I have 2 bunches, cilantro, 2 bunches, and green onion, about 1.5 bunch. Now again, remember, if you're gonna make 1 pound of meat, you can cut all of these down to half. So 1 bunch, half a bunch, okay? So these are our ingredients that are going to go into our stuffing mix, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start introducing and mixing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my dill wheat. I'm gonna use a spoon to make sure all my herbs are blended well. Okay. I'm gonna add my rice. There's no particular order. My rice. Again, I'm gonna blend it a bit. This mixture smells so good. Every time I make this, reminds me of when I was little and all my siblings were at school, and my mom would make this, and I would sit at the kitchen counter and I would watch her make it, and I always loved the smell of this mixture, and I would want to eat it raw, but of course I never did. Now I'm going to use the shredded prunes. Okay, I'm going to put this in the stuffing. Okay, and again, you got to make sure the prunes are mixed pretty well. You don't want big chunks, so that way each piece of a wrap will have a tiny bit of a prune in it, and as it cooks, the flavor of the prune, it just blends so well, and it gives this dish a unique flavor. So I'm gonna add my herbs, my black pepper, onion powder, spices, garlic powder. I said herbs again. I was corrected by my cameraman or woman. Turmeric. I love turmeric. Turmeric is the herb of my choice. Salt. All right, so I'm going to now give this a good mix again. Okay, now I'm going to add a whole can of my tomato paste. So I just emptied the whole thing in there. This is gonna go in here. I'm gonna save the can because we're gonna put some water in it, and I'll show you what I do with that later on. We're gonna use every bit of it. Okay, so just get it roughly mixed up. Now we're gonna introduce our beef. So the beef goes in there. Now comes the fun part. Get a pair of gloves on. And we get in here and we mix this up. So this is going to be our stuffing that we're going to stuff our cabbage leaves with. Again, you can do this with grape leaves also. I love both, but this is more of a favorite for me. Alrighty, so I'm not going to bore you with me watching me mix this. So I'm going to get this really mixed up and make sure it's evenly mixed together. Next, I'll meet you and then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator while we get our cabbage leaves ready. Okay, so once I'm done with this, we'll meet by the stove and I'll show you how I do that. Be back in a few minutes. Okay, so while our stuffing mixture is resting in the refrigerator, I'm going to show you what I do with the cabbage. So I've washed the outside of the cabbage. I have a big pot here with a strainer. Okay, I'm going to steam the cabbage. So I have water down there, and I just plate the cabbage and place the butt end down. Okay, and we're going to get this to a boil. Now I'm going to cover this with aluminum foil to keep the steam in there. But I want to show you what our goal is here. So our goal is to get the cabbage to steam up enough where each individual leaf comes out easily. It doesn't have to be fully cooked because we're going to of course cook this more, but for example, this is a perfect consistency right here. And this makes it easy to roll and wrap it, as you're going to see in a bit. So I have it in different sizes, so we're going to make small ones and big ones. And also on the outer shell, I get bigger pieces that I'm not going to use for wrapping, but I save this and I'm going to show you what I use this when we start the cooking process. So with cabbage, you're going to find that as you cook it, the outer leaves will get softer and softer, but the inner core will stay hard. So what you're going to have to do, which I'll show you how I do it, I stop every so often. I come out, take the outer leaves off, and then put it back and steam more. Take a few more leaves off, put it back and steam more. So I'll get this going, And when we're ready to take some of the leaves off, I'll show you how I do that. Okay. Alrighty, so here we have the cabbage has been steaming for a while. I'm gonna take it out of here. It's kind of hot. Alright, so this is just to show you how I separate the leaves here. So you just find the edge and you start removing the leaves a little bit at a time like that. Okay, and take a knife and cut it right off the stem. So now this, again, the top piece I don't use for wrapping or stuffing. I show you what I use it for in a bit, but basically that's it. So now I'm gonna remove as many of the leaves that will come off of here easily. And then once I get to the further down layers and they're not coming off easily, what I'm gonna do is put it back in my pot there and steam it some more. All right, so I'm gonna do this and get everything ready, and we'll be back and I'll show you how I wrap them. Be back in a bit. Okay, so we have our cabbage leaves all ready. I've taken the thicker stalk part out of the middle, so you can see we have nice little sheets. We have different sizes. Of course, our Dolma is going to be in different sizes. So got our pot. I'm going to put some oil in there. And if you remember in the beginning there, I was saving some of the outer parts of the cabbage leaves. And this is what I save them for. I place this at the bottom of my pan before I start assembling the Dolma in here. What this does is it prevents the little nuggets of deliciousness from sticking to the bottom of the pan. And in case your heat goes a little bit too high, it prevents any burns. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our meat out of the fridge. So here we have it. Let's see what that looks like. It just smells absolutely delicious. All right, to assemble this, we need a pair of gloves. Of course, we need our meat pan, and we got some of our dried prunes. Now, for those of you who might wonder what prunes are, they're just dried plums. They're dehydrated plums. So this is how it's going to go. So we're going to take a leaf. We're going to grab some of our stuffing, and we're just going to wrap it up. There's no particular rule. Oops. And we're going to start assembling them in our pot there. Now, in order for this to stay put and don't fall apart, I tuck them really tightly close to each other. So we're going to have a whole bunch of different size nuggets. We're going to have large ones, small ones, just like that. So I'm going to continue rolling this up and put them on the bottom of my pot here. And then once I have the first row down, I'll come back and I show you what I do next. Be right back. Okay, so we have our first row of stuffed leaves down. So what I do at this stage is I take our second can of tomato paste and I smother it all over this first row. Now don't worry if you don't get it evenly coated, because this thing is going to cook up and there's going to be liquid, and the liquid will dissolve and mix everything up. Also, when you're rolling this little bundles of deliciousness up. You're going to find that depending on the thickness of the leaves of your cabbage, they might tear a little bit like it did here. Now, don't worry about that because I'm going to show you a trick to prevent these from opening up. And that comes right at the end, right before we start cooking this. So I got my, basically I got a little thin layer of the tomato paste. Now we're going to take some of our whole prunes. And we're going to just distribute it randomly. My mouth is already watering because this already smells absolutely incredibly delicious. So we're going to put some of our prunes, spread it out, and we're going to roll some more. And I'm going to show you here. So the trick is to, I mean, these are pretty fragile, so you want to be kind of gentle with them. The trick is the amount of the stuffing you're going to put in there. Just judge it based on the size of the cabbage leaf that you have and see how you can expand that. I can even probably add some more here. All right, and just roll it up. Now, don't worry about being perfect. Again, if you have something like that, don't worry about it. Just as long as it's tucked in pretty good. Like I said, I'll show you a little trick right at the end. Again, you take the cabbage leaf. Look at how big that is. And open it up. Put your filling and just wrap it up the best you can. It's not an exact rocket science here. Or science, not even a rocket. So cooking should be fun. Mistakes happen. Good things come out of mistakes. If you have pieces that are torn like that, what I do is I double layer it with another piece. Your stuffing. So we're going to continue doing this. We're going to do this until we have another full row. We're going to put some tomato paste. We're going to put some more of the prunes, and we'll be back and show you what I do next. So we have our last layer here. We ended up with 3 stories high. We're going to put our final layer of tomato paste. This smells so good. My camera lady was saying that her mouth is watering too. And I said, I think if the camera had a mouth, that would be watering also. Because it's a little bit of work making this dish, but like I said, it's well worth it. Also, when you have so much, you can share it. We're going to share this with our neighbors, with our guests. And we're going to share it with, we're going to freeze it. And it's awesome to just defrost and enjoy it later on. All right, so we got that done. Now we're going to add some more prunes on top. Okay, so since there's rice in here and this is going to expand as it cooks, there is a trick I do which kind of ensures that this doesn't fall apart, keeps everything together. We're going to take a plate that's heat resistant, something that's not going to break when it gets hot, and we're going to place this right on top like that. Now, if you remember in the beginning there, when we used the first tomato sauce, we saved the remainders that was in the can. I've just added some plain water to it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour this in here. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this other can that we had. I want to have water about maybe 1/3 of the way up the bottom of the pan. So you can kind of see it, okay? And then we're gonna start with low heat. We're gonna go for a while it gets into a rolling boil. We're gonna kind of turn it down a bit and then maybe simmer it for the whole cooking time shouldn't be more than a couple of hours. So maybe about getting it at low to boiling, go another maybe 10-15 minutes and then just turn it to simmer and just let it simmer for a while. You want to make sure that there's adequate water. The cabbage will let some water out. So, but occasionally check and make sure there's adequate water in there while it's cooking so it doesn't burn. So we're going to start the cooking process, and I'll check in a bit as it's cooking and show you how it looks. See you in a little bit. So we got our pot on the stove. That's what the low flame looks like on my stove. All stoves are a little bit different. Now make sure this is nice and secure. You just put this lid on and you keep it going until you hear it boiling and bubbling, and let it go at that for another, I don't know, half an hour, maybe 20 minutes, checking the water, make sure there's adequate water, and then turn it to simmer and let it go another half hour, 45 minutes. You'll know when it's done, It's gonna just smell absolutely fantastic. And I'll check back in a bit as it's cooking and show you the progress of it. Be back in a bit. Okay, friends, this has been cooking for about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. Just want to show you how it's progressing. You can see there's still water there bubbling, so I'm going to let that reduce until it's about halfway in my pot. Then I'm going to put it on simmer. The longer and slower you cook this dish, the more you blend the flavors and the more delicious it turns out. But you can already see that this is shaping up pretty nice. So next clip will probably be when this is done and it's cooled down a bit. Of course, when it's done cooking, we're going to let it sit to cool down and all the flavors infuse. Then we'll go from there. All right? Alrighty, folks. This is the exciting part. Our beautiful nuggets of cabbage stuffed leaves is ready. We're gonna remove our plate. Check it out. Now, don't this look beautiful? This is what I mean when I say nuggets. They're like beautiful. All right. So we're gonna plate this. The way I like to serve this is, there's many ways you can eat it. You can eat this as a main dish. You can eat it as an appetizer. You can eat it cold. You can eat it warm. But what I like is yogurt with some cucumbers. There are some spices in there, such as black crushed pepper, salt. There's some paprika. There's some garlic and onion powder. Okay. So this is how I like to have mine. I'll plate it for you. All right. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely delicious and beautiful. Of course, we're going to have a little cherry on top here. These are the prunes. And what I like to do, take a little bit of yogurt, just drizzle on top here. Okay. You can serve this over with basmati rice, or you can do it by its own. A little bit of crispy pita bread on the side. It's a must-try recipe. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these open for you, show you what it looks like inside. Let's see. Let's do this one right here. Look at that. Actually, for you, I'm gonna have a taste test. Oh my goodness, you do not even have to chew this. It is so absolutely delicious. I highly recommend this recipe. I know it takes a while to make it, but It's absolutely incredibly worth it. Check this out. A little bit of yogurt with I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, and I'm going to enjoy more eating it. So live, laugh, love, be kind to each other, be kind to animals. Please push that like and subscribe button. I have a lot of recipes coming up, especially with the holidays coming up with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I have a wonderful salmon recipe which you are going to enjoy and love. So again, thank you for joining me in this video. I will see you in my next video, and look forward to sharing my wonderful recipes with you. Thank you.